one of the things I make it do for sure is break down what are you going to do in each PR,
Hmm. Oh, okay.
right?
Interesting.
So I would say break this down into a PR, and each PR tell me what are we going to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? And please don't add a PR for tests, right? Like,
Oh
that's not
no.
happening, right?
Oh
Like,
no.
yeah, every PR has to go to production, right?
Sharan Karanth's career as a software developer goes back to 2000 era Bangalore, India. He joined ThoughtWorks in 2006, made the jump to ThoughtWorks Canada in 2009. By the time I joined ThoughtWorks in 2012, he was working in the Toronto office too. In 2015, he left ThoughtWorks to join an early AI startup called Receptivity, which used the science of pronouns and other function words to provide business insights about relationships and behavior. After exiting Receptivity, he started Karanth Consulting, a small but growing boutique consultancy, though he returned again to startup life recently to join Binaxity, where he leads engineering. Sharan is also our guest today on Engineering with AI podcast. Cool.
Mhm.
Sharan, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's always great when we can do them in person like this as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just heard your bio. So really, really great stuff.
Mm.
But we didn't say much about Binaxity.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, what's your head of engineering there, your
Yeah.
principal engineer. But yeah, tell me more about what Binaxity is doing.
Right. So Binaxity is a invest now, pay later business. The
Hmm.
main goal here is, I mean, broadly, if I had to quote Nick Zhu, who's one of the co-founders, the main goal here is to democratize the banking that is available to the 1% today.
Hmm.
So everything that the 1% benefit from, like leverage to invest, being able to prevent capital gains by borrowing against your assets, or
Yeah.
all of those are basically things that we want to extend and make available to the world, to be honest here. The two founders are who were again Torontonians, who did their earlier startup, and so they which got acquired by a firm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And as part of that, they got to understand the lending business, and so they wanted to break away and do this. Nick reached out to me. He's been in touch, and he tried to get me to join him in the previous startup, but then I went and started Receptivity. So I knew him well, and so he wanted me to get involved early. I was very keen on joining a startup early enough where
Yeah.
equity matters.
Yep.
So that's why I'm here. I'm more interested in building a company of high value than and doing it early in the life cycle of the business.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mm.
So wait a minute. When you say a firm, they're in buy now, pay later. Am I right?
A firm is buy now pay later.
Yeah.
We are invest now pay later.
Right. So it's
Right.
like a natural progression.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like.
That's the I think in terms of gap, right? Buy now pay later is actually just better credit card, right? And so there are a lot of options for people to buy now and pay later,
Yeah.
right? The funny thing is, credit is actually very easily available and legally, like especially all governments make it regulatorily very easy to lend people to lend money to everybody
Hmm.
to spend.
Hmm.
But the minute you say, "Hey, I'm going to lend money to somebody to invest," they come, hovering down on you and say, "No, you're breaking all of these regulations. You cannot give, people who
Right.
need credit money to make money. You should only give them money to spend money
Right.
on things they
Oh,
don't
interesting.
need or probably don't need, right?"
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we want to break that juggernaut and
Cool.
give people opportunities here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, okay. I mean, we've got to talk about like what kind of tools you guys are using in order to do it. But let's start with you. Like when you're writing code, which as head of engineering, I don't know if that's all day or once a week, but anyway,
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what tools are you using?
So, you mean in terms of tech stack or in terms
Well,
of
I mean, a little bit about tech stack, sure,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like generative AI tooling, like what's
yeah,
working for
yeah,
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we are a polyglot code base. We do have I'm going to say best of breed. We run a bunch of JavaScripts. Well, we run a bunch of containers in Rails. We run a bunch of containers. We have Terraform and all of that. We when we started as a business, one of the first things that we agreed to, um, like at least think about our business differently was we would use our org design
Mm,
as a as driver for success,
mhm,
right? In a world where we're going to be eventually competing with big banks, we wanted org design to be a strength.
mm,
A lot of that was driven by at least our understanding of how, like, for example, Amazon's org design helps Amazon innovate and move faster, right? And so org design being a key game changer was what we recognized early. So right from the outset, our goal was try to keep the team as small as possible.
got it.
And by that, by team, I don't mean engineering. I mean like every single person in the company, right?
Right.
And then only bring in and increase the team with people who are there, who don't scale with, who don't have to be, basically make your headcount not scale with the business, but
Mm,
scale with the problems the business is solving. So we basically decided that very early that we're going to, right through all our investor conversations, we'd be earmarking a big chunk of money towards investing on AI as productivity gain, as to boost, right? So from an engineering standpoint, we started with our subscription of GitHub Copilot, OpenAI, the
mhm.
usual ones. But then later we felt we needed something a little more involved as the agentic world got a little more
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
friendly,
Yep.
right? So I would say 2025, sometime early 2025, maybe second quarter latest, we started experimenting heavily and said like, hey, we need to finalize on something we want to start trying in terms of agentic AI
Yep.
coding. We started experimenting with Copilot. We ran some
Right.
experiments with Junie. We do have we are somewhat a JetBrains fan club, so we thought, okay, let's try what Junie's got to offer.
Right.
And then eventually we landed on Claude. So there was a lot of team members who were quite excited about Claude.
Yep.
The funny thing about Claude was we basically realized that being a fintech, we are aiming to be SOC 2 as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah.
And as
Yep.
part of that, we wanted to make sure we have like proper vendor contracts in place and all of that. And Claude is friendly to a startup only if you
Mm,
have at least 10 licenses.
okay.
And we are hoping we won't be using 10 licenses for the next 10, 15 years, right? Like, I mean, ideally, right? Like, you
Right.
don't want to be building, scaling
Well,
massive
like you said, the
teams.
whole thing is like, don't scale the
You
team,
don't
you have to
scale the
scale the
team,
product.
right?
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, maybe 10, 15 years is too much, but I would say 10 would be at least 2 years away from our perspective. So we said, you know what, like maybe Claude is not the right one for us if they're basically looking at treating it seriously only based on the number of seats.
Mm.
So we started experimenting with Cursor as an alternative. And Cursor has now basically we have Cursor licenses for every team member.
Ah, okay.
Um, we have uh, Cursor and ChatGPT Codex also plugged into
Mm.
our CI pipelines. So we do spend a bit. We have yeah. So this is basically what our main tool sets for today are. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we hear Claude pretty often, so I'm also there's this part of me that's like, every time you hear it, it's almost like a drinking game. Claude. But I do wonder if people are gonna start thinking that I'm only bringing people on who want to talk about Claude, but
Yeah,
that's not what's happening.
yeah.
So I'm almost happy to hear that you guys used a different tool.
Saved your reputation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
no, interesting point
So
about
Anthropic is not sponsoring this.
no, certainly not. No, though, you know, we're fine. But, yeah, to your point, I wondered about that, right? Like, I for my small startup thing, like, I'm just using it, you know, as a personal license, and I'm just letting it be.
Yeah,
But, I could see, running a small shop on it. You guys have significant IP. You
yeah,
guys have raised funds. So,
yeah,
I mean, you'd wanna make sure that you were very protective of that IP. So, yeah, and so yeah, interesting.
yeah.
Ah, okay. So it was too hard to process. It wasn't worthwhile.
Yeah, I won't say so much about protecting the IP. I'm sure there will be things that we will build eventually that require IP protection. But it's about being compliant because we would
Mm,
want to be. SOC 2 as quickly as possible,
Right.
ISO 27K, we want to be GDPR,
You
NIST.
mentioned, and I missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fine.
So it's about making sure we are doing our due diligence properly and
Yeah.
having all the paperwork in place, but being able to do that as a 10-member team,
Right.
12-member team, I think that's where
Got it.
that's our goal. And that's where, like, once you start saying, hey, you're a startup and we shoot from the hip, like, a lot of companies are available. As soon as you say you're a startup who wants to
Yeah.
do all of these compliant things, they're like, go to our enterprise package. And enterprise people are like, 8 people? We're not
Yeah.
going to take you seriously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They won't answer your call unless it's eight.
Yeah. Call me when you grow up, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of a thing.
Take my money, please. Okay. So, so both GPT Codex and also Copilot.
Copilot, no, Cursor.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Sorry. Sorry.
that's on the CI pipeline doing code reviews for us.
Yeah.
And then we have Cursor being the predominant
Uh,
toolkit for developers. We basically stopped tuning after some time. We don't like that.
mm,
And Copilot, although we have the licenses, it comes with our GitHub subscriptions. It has mostly been faded out of usage. And I'll tell you, there are a few cases where people do use it, but
mm.
it's not as prevalently used.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think for me, like it's still in VS Code, and so sometimes if I go in and I'm editing something and it still wants to help, I'm like, sure, you can help.
That's exactly where
Mm,
Copilot is coming into play. It
yeah.
is still plugged into our IDEs,
Yeah.
and then so if for those of us who still believe in writing code, like it does help them, but a few of us have gone past that. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah. No, I haven't directly written code in months at this point, though I'm
yeah,
also producing more lines of code than I have in years.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah,
strange trade off. Okay.
yeah.
So tell me more about how Cursor works. Like I literally have not used it. Should I think agentic like Claude Code style where there's a terminal and you're like typing everything in, or maybe using Whisper or something? Or is this more like the Copilot model where it's auto completing for you? Like what does Cursor even look like?
Yeah, so Cursor supports multiple. They do have a command line just like Claude. Um, but what we've found and tested is I we actually find it easier when we use the Cursor ID.
Mm,
Um, I, I personally find it better when I use the Cursor ID. What I do end up and Cursor ID is just a layer on top of Visual Studio Code.
yeah.
So I create a workspace of my entire code base. We've not yet gone to a monorepo. We will be
Mm,
eventually. And one of the primary drivers for that is also being able to generate code across the board for
yeah.
solving problems.
Yeah.
But so I use predominantly the ID. It has comes with an AI chat window. I rarely ever type in that ID. I personally don't enjoy programming in Visual Studio Code.
Mm,
I am a JetBrains guy
JetBrains
too,
guy.
so I do end up if I really had to write a lot of code, I'd switch to JetBrains and do it. I also enjoy code reviews in my JetBrains, but I do use Cursor, like I know in the sense that I go to their ID, I type stuff into the chat window,
Yeah.
I review the changes it has done, and then switch back to my JetBrains to kind of verify all the changes, tweak them, and then send them in. But very rarely we have to tweak them nowadays. It used to be a lot more,
Yeah.
but definitely a lot lesser nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
These tools are getting so much better all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh, do you guys have any specific guardrails around the process, either for you or for the team, that sort of make the tools more effective?
yeah, yeah. So we are getting more and more. So the first and foremost, we have two fantastic guardrails to anything that AI generates. We have two members of the team who don't like AI, right? And if any of the stuff that we generate is like dropped on them, they give us pain, like because they're like, uh, this is doesn't look like a human wrote this code, right? So we are shamed regularly for overusing AI. We are also shamed for giant PRs by the same two people, right? When they have to review it and they're like, did you just in a day give me a 40 page 40 file
Yeah, yeah,
PR?
yeah,
Couldn't you have broken this into something smaller for humans to review, right?
yeah,
So it's good for us, and we really like the fact that we have a couple of team members who don't want to use AI. It keeps us in check. It keeps the rest of us in um basically constantly evaluating whether this code that we are producing human ready, right?
Mhm.
Which
Nice.
which might be a weakness in the future, right? To have that attitude, but at
But
least
for
for
now.
now,
Yeah. Yeah.
it allows us to tread the water carefully, making
Mhm.
sure that that we're not producing too much garbage.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Other than that, we have, early stage startups. Obviously, we have a lot of unit tests, but we have not. We've just started our significant investments in end-to-end tests.
Yeah, got it.
That's where we want to be investing more. The verification tools, the Rubocops. Like we've right now not really like, for example, everything that we write on Rails, we've just used a bunch of Rubocop plugins, but we might have to do a lot more to enforce discipline in the Rubocops.
Mhm.
Our AI tools, we use Cursor's Bugbot, we use Copilot's Codex code review agents.
'Kay.
I'm going to say they don't do the one thing I want them to do, which
Mm.
is ensure adherence to design guidelines,
Mm.
right? But they do definitely help a lot in like catching vulnerability in your code base, or even problems with like the implementation itself, or like, hey, by you doing this, you're going to break something there, and you'll be like, wow, that's true. Like I could have, wait,
Yeah.
like how did I not catch that, right?
Yep.
But what they don't do is like the 10 pages of stuff that you typed into agents.md, they'll be like, I'm not reading that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not for me, right? Like
I forgot about
that's for
that
you.
after the
That's
first
your
5
design
minutes.
documentation. Yeah. Then you're in the chat
Awesome.
window, you can say, you can keep reminding it, like,
Yeah.
hey, did you read the agents.md? Can you read it and tell me what you understand from that? Right? Like, the good thing is, like, at least for me, the whole AI interaction is very similar to how when you're a senior in India, you could intimidate the juniors, right? you know, we used to do that. Like, have you read the documentation before? Right? Go read it and come and tell me if this. It covers everything that you just said it covers, right? So that kind of a thing. So you got to do that a lot, but you can't do that with the plugged in code review tools.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah,
Oh, right, right, right,
yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
So that
You
guardrail
can't tell it to go look again,
does
right?
affect it.
Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
focus on this area or something like that. It's a little weak,
Yeah,
for sure. I'm sure there are ways to do it, but we haven't yet explored some of that. Yeah.
got it.
So effectively, this is what we're looking at for guardrails. Is like maybe like we're looking at like strong verification tools, like enhancing a Rubocop and enhancing like things for compliance and design.
Mhm.
Definitely end-to-end automation tests. We want to slowly grow that suite to be large enough to verify that the app is working as expected, right? And then as we make our path to production more sophisticated, we would have every change deployed to a single environment, verified, scanned for security, and only then be marked as ready to go to production. So
Got it.
yeah.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, cool. Why different tools in the pipeline versus what's in the IDE? Why different models there?
Part of it was also experimentation. We want to constantly be able to see which one is doing better,
Mm,
and that comes for free, because like when I won't say free, I mean purely like having two reviewers is not going to impact your ability to get the job done, right? But switching between two different agentic software on your client as you're building stories is never easy process,
right, right,
right?
right, right,
So having said that, like we are 100% sure that Cursor is not where, like that we're not married to Cursor, right?
right.
Like we are 100% sure like this world is very, very competitive. There are
Yeah.
lots of players coming out there. Each one is trying to work harder to get better than
Hmm.
the other. So
Yeah, yeah,
we are very, very open minded about moving away, like being able to move
yeah.
from Cursor to anything else.
Got it.
But right now, I'd say Cursor works great for us. We definitely appreciate the developments in the product, at least among us who are not skeptics. Yeah.
Nice. Right. Right. The ultimate guardrail.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's funny. I like what you were saying about the pull request. Like it's reminding me, isn't the old joke, a 5-line code change, 4 pages of comments,
And it's
versus 1,000-line code change, crickets.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe that solves
Uh,
this solves that problem. Like
yeah.
maybe there's never crickets now.
Yeah.
It'll just do 400 pages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. He'll write the code change too. So
Right. Yeah.
that's the other part. Yeah.
No doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. When it comes to the team and the teams that you serve, is this changing the process at all?
So I'm going to say it supports our process. So one of the things we want to be able to do as we go as a team is not have a team that is just focused on outcomes. Like outcomes are
Mm,
great. We want those outcomes. We want everybody to be financially benefiting from the outcomes,
mhm,
right? That's for sure. But we cannot as a team, and we don't want to measure individuals on this. It's about how we measure ourselves as a team.
mm,
It's about outputs, right?
mhm,
And so at the same time, if you make them all vanity metrics, it's going to be hard for you to measure on outputs, right?
mhm.
So obviously some of the Dora metrics do qualify, right? Like they are good measurement of
Yep.
outputs. And then the other thing that we decided to organize ourselves on is how many ideas, what's the frequency, cycle time, and failure rate of
Yeah.
ideas,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because as an engineering team,
Mm,
as much as we would like to, we have less control on controlling, less control on making outcomes happen,
right.
but we definitely have more control on making our outputs
Yeah.
better, right?
Right.
And so we as a team want to constantly get better at investing carefully and executing very quickly on ideas. So broadly, that's kind of how we basically break down our work. We're like,
Mm,
hey, here's an idea. This is where we want to do this. Break that into executable chunks. Divide
yep.
the work along with. So we run 2 or 3 ideas at a time,
Yeah.
and then we measure our time against those. I like broadly, like, hey, like an idea translates to an epic in Jira, and so we log our time against that epic.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
we keep track of, like, how long are we
Mm,
taking to execute these ideas. Right now, we're mainly focused on cycle time.
yeah.
Eventually, we'll start focusing a little more on frequency. Once we have our like we just gone live with the product, we'll do lot smaller iterations. We'll be focusing on frequency and failure rates too. So
Got it.
yeah.
So when I think about cycle time, I think about like idea to release, and that kind of cycle.
Take an idea to cash, right? Like
Yeah.
basically, that's for us. That's the bottom line. Is
So you're measuring cycle time as all the way to revenue.
no, all the way to
Got it.
production. You
Got
being
it.
used by a customer. Hidden behind a toggle doesn't count,
Got it. Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Like so.
Okay. So released, not deployed. Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
released to customer, not just deployed to production.
So
So
what's the difference between that and cadence then? Like one would assume a small cycle time would mean a pretty rapid cadence in the end.
when you say cadence, do you mean in terms of metrics, the frequency?
Oh, no,
I'm
no.
talking about this idea completion, right? Like how
Okay.
quickly can an idea tabled by any of us? I mean, not just the business, but
Right.
how quickly did we actually say, "Hey, this is done
I
now."
think you said frequency,
No,
not
cycle
cadence.
time is what we are focused on.
Yeah.
Frequency will be how many of those we can get through, right?
I
Like
see.
that is something again we want to get better. We want to start measuring
Short cycles, but how many cycles?
how many cycles, and
Got
then
it.
there's failure rate, right? Like which is this is
Yeah.
basically the whole Kaizen principles, right?
Yep.
Like so
Yep.
frequency, cycle time, failure
Got
rate.
it.
So
Got it. Got it. Got it.
yeah, so we want to stay focused on that, and I think that one of the benefits we are seeing with AI is like we are basically able to do larger chunks in the same time that we used to take for smaller ideas, right?
Mm.
Like because there's always this challenge where, oh, do I t-shirt size these ideas because this looks like something I could get done quickly, and this looks like something that is going to be like massive, right? And some of that distinction between a small idea and a medium idea and a large idea is reducing, and it makes it a lot more easier for us to just idea count, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yep.
kind of a thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there is visible.
Right.
There's notable difference there.
If you keep the cycle time low, then there's no much point
Yeah,
going
yeah,
through it
yeah,
anymore. It's interesting. I often say in these conversations that like, I started this whole, and it's true. I started this whole thing
yeah,
because I was using the tools at home, but could not use them at work.
mm,
But that's changed.
yeah,
I now have one team at work, right? So my in my day job,
right.
right, which you used to work with
Yes,
during
mm,
Karan's consulting days,
yes,
and in fact, I think you know the team. So
Oh, we work in Navalia even at Binaxity. So
that's right. You
yeah,
guys are a
yeah,
customer.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for your being a customer.
It's a pleasure.
But no, I think it was a Backjack team. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're now converting over to
Oh,
using these
nice.
tools as part of what
Okay.
they're doing. They're about a
Okay.
6-person team right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this is like maybe 1/10 of the entire development workforce.
Nice.
1/15, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, starting small,
Yeah.
but they've been picking it up and they've been doing it for about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like Dora has definitely been part of what we're thinking about in terms
Yeah.
of like how do we measure if this is
Yeah.
showing an improvement.
Yeah.
But I like what you're saying about cycle too. That's nice.
Yeah. Because I think I don't know about your like I've heard a lot about your experience over these podcasts plus me speaking about it otherwise, but it's I don't know, back in the day when you were coding a lot, right? Like at least I remember like 10, 15 years ago, I was like there'd be times when you just get into that zone and you code a lot,
Yeah,
right? Like, and you
yeah,
get like a lot of stuff done.
hmm,
Actually, you won't say a lot. You write a lot of code,
yeah,
right?
right,
But 50% of the time, you got a lot of stuff done. 50% of the time,
right,
you're like, why did I write this?
right. You went the
Right? You just powered through a lot of stuff that you realized you didn't need. Like, why did I refactor this? Why did I create this framework? So
yeah,
you end up throwing a lot of it out,
yeah,
right? Like, so
yeah.
that does happen with AI. Like, you get into this. So now it's
Mm,
AI is kind of like replace that kind of mindset where it says, you know what? Hey, like I don't need to be in that zone to write a lot of code now. I can just tell the AI to write it. But then it writes a lot of good
yes,
code.
it does
Yeah, right. And then you
quickly.
end up with like also wasting a lot of time
Yeah,
in it generating a lot of code that you don't want it to generate, right?
right.
So
Well, and now you own that code, and you have to bug check it. You have
yeah,
to.
yeah. Or you have to basically tell it like in 50 unique ways, no, no, I don't like your code. Can you change it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And it'll change and do it something else. And we're like, not today, please. I have to get this done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go through that
Hmm,
for sure.
hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we keep going. Okay, so we talked a little bit about like how the team is using stuff. You talked a little bit about how you're measuring cycle time and the like.
Yeah.
What about like, and you mentioned epics, which is kind of where I'm going next. Product management and story breakdown and all of this. Like, are you still writing given when thens and feeding it into for like acceptance
Oh,
test
no, no,
criteria,
no, no.
or are you still writing as I would like so that sort of style user stories and all those kinds of things?
No.
Yeah.
We are taking I mean, at least for now, we're taking a slightly different approach. We want every individual in the company to be ideating about how we can make this business better, right? And one of the things that happens very quickly in an organization, in most organizations, is especially startup style organizations, is there's a product team and there's an engineering
Right.
team, and these
Right.
people deal with the problem space, these guys deal with the solution space, and let's find some common area where we can talk to each other. But hey, like problem space is mine, and hey, solution space is mine, right? Like
Got it.
there's those boundaries. So at least for now, our perspective is that no, like every engineer is in the problem space, every engineer is in the solution space.
Mm,
Tomorrow we might get people who are fantastic on the problem space who might be just product people, but I'm hoping our tool sets are good enough that they can also be in the solution space, right? And we can figure out how to get them into the solution space.
right.
But then they just become another member of the team, right? We don't have front end guys, back end guys,
Right.
infrastructure guys, none of
Right.
those. Like there is no speciality in the organization,
Got it.
right?
So everybody's kind of acting as their own product manager in a way.
Yeah, everybody is basically the ideas are written, in a somewhat um somewhat high level.
Hmm.
Um, but Nick works with a designer and tries to like visualize what they want, and sometimes it's like it's a concept stage, so they come and run it by us saying, hey, conceptually this is what we're thinking,
Got it.
right? And then the designer actually, Adam, works with us as he ideates and comes up with like different designs that he thinks will work, right? And all through, like he's got a card on our wall on the same developer wall, and he would be jumping into the stand up, and we'd be like, Adam, can you show us what you're working on? And Adam
Right.
would walk through like
Okay.
these are the designs, and
So very tight,
yeah,
very
and
much.
no matter how many times, like, he tells us like, hey, this is just me thinking out, like a whole bunch of people will be pouncing on him saying, no, that's not gonna work, or like, why are we doing this for the customer? Like, how does this help the customer, right? Like, so he fends all of those off early, takes what is valuable inputs, comes back, and on a daily basis, like we are basically looking
Cool.
at the design build. Whenever it's ready, then we, as a team, do some sort of a work breakdown. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and
Got it.
we kind of decide like, hey, like, let's go through this. Let's see how we want to implement it. Let's see where are the unknowns. If there are unknowns, then somebody runs with a spike to figure out what needs to happen. Our pair runs with that spike. We still pair. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so our pair runs with a spike and comes back and creates cards for whatever they understand we need to do for solving a particular problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, cards are eventually broken down by team members. We pair, we rotate every 3 days, twice a week, right?
Pair
So
programming and using AI. Right.
yep.
So to me, that's like a question that a lot of people have. Like, isn't it the pair now? Like, so what are you two doing when it's sitting there, say, telling you that it's like thinking,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
thinking,
yeah, yeah.
thinking?
Yeah, no, I won't say this conversation didn't come up on the team, right? Like there are team members who are like, why am I staring at cursor, somebody else's cursor, right? And I think yes, we are still insisting on pairing because for us, at least, we see each of our individual roles being more focused on discussing
Mm-hmm.
strategy,
Mm-hmm.
design,
Mm-hmm.
discussing customer, right? Like understanding like why we are doing something or challenging why. Um, there are decisions to be co-owned, right? AI
Yep.
is just doing the in the whole strategize, execute, verify stage, right? Like that, even in the scope of a feature, right? Like the execution is the only thing probably that's going to AI anytime
Yeah.
soon,
Yeah.
right? With strategy, sure, you go to AI and ask a few things, but it's still your strategy,
That's right.
right? And it's
Yeah.
still your verification. So
Yeah.
and that's where I think the team um is trying to find the balance, right?
Right.
But we still pair because at minimum there's ownership, right? Collective ownership. So what well, usually pairing was like for two things, right? How much you pair and how much you don't pair came down to, do you have the right level of collective ownership, and do you have the right level of productivity that is
Mm-hmm.
suitable for the company? As
Mm-hmm.
long as you don't compromise these two, you decide if you want to pair or don't want to pair, right?
Right.
But now I'm going to say the productivity part of it is changing, or we're still yet to we still as a team in Binaxity yet to understand like fully like what it would mean for a pair
Yeah.
to be more productive or less productive
Right.
in the world of like full AI generated code.
Yeah.
But we do have team members who don't use AI,
Right.
right? Who, by the way, are like the most productive people on the team.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I feel at least they're more productive than me, right? Like I have
Mm.
40 files produced in a day, right? Changing one thing, and they do it in like 20 files faster, right? Like I'm like, oh, maybe, and that's true too. Like on the days when I felt super productive, I wrote a lot of code. I wrote a lot of code really
Yep.
quickly,
Yep.
right? And it was just hard for me to stay in that mode, right? And so
Yeah.
um the when the productive Sharan shows up, I get a lot of stuff done. But like but when the other Sharan shows up, which is most of the time, right? Like you're like, hmm, what should I go Google now? Like
Yeah.
so you end up wasting. That productivity swings are quite high, which AI kind of somewhat smoothens, right?
Yeah.
But there are individuals like Peter Saul,
Right.
right, who can power through
Yeah.
a lot of code consistently. We
Yeah.
have team members like that who are actually not big proponents of AI, and I can understand why, because they
Mm.
still are able to produce a lot of code really quickly
Interesting.
and well thought out. Yeah,
Oh
they
wow.
hate the tests that AI produces because they don't think it tests enough,
Yeah.
doesn't test
I'll
properly.
I'll be honest about that. When that is the one thing that I'm still queasy about. Like
Yeah,
in my little startup, like I have one paying customer at $5 a month. So like it's not it's I still am very much pre-market fit.
yeah,
So I'm not gonna sweat about it.
yeah,
But like I keep telling it, like, go make me a unit test suite and it'll run it and
yeah,
it'll say, don't worry, they all pass. I'm
yeah,
like, okay, sure. I'm not sure it's found anything yet.
yeah.
And what else is in there, Sheldon? Like that's the one thing I'm still squeamish about.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
to the point though, like you guys are an interesting almost experiment. I don't know if you did you ever listen to that Dorkash podcast? Dorkash Patel, this guy that
Yeah,
interviews all
yeah,
these.
yeah,
So in the last month, he's interviewed Elon Musk and then Dario from Anthropic.
right. Right, I
And
missed the audio one. Yeah,
I'm still working through it. It only
yeah,
came out like 2 days ago.
yeah. So
And
dense, right?
it's
Like,
yes, I know. Yeah,
all the time Googling and trying to research on like what they're talking about. Like,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And they're 3 hours long.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time.
This is not one of those you can do while like walking to work or something like that.
No,
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm doing, but
yeah,
I figure it's better than nothing. But
yeah,
but you're right, it is dense.
yeah,
So to your point, like one of the things that Dorcas goes after him with is like, come on, like there's these like research studies that say that software developers feel more productive with these tools, but that they may not be.
mhm,
Right. And so Dario's getting up there saying, like, we use the tools at Claude and that's
yeah,
all we use, and we're more productive and we
yeah.
can tell.
Mhm.
And Dorcas is like, yeah, but that would be predicted by the study. Like, just because you feel more productive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly what the study indicates.
yeah, yeah.
So, but you guys have this interesting
We do
little
the opposite. For us,
experiment.
like the simple rule that I've told every so there are a bunch of people who are like including me who are like very much on the side of AI is going to power development, and I've told those team members and I've told myself that the day we walk up to the other two team members and tell them like, hey, you guys should try AI tooling,
Yeah.
is the day we feel they're falling behind.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
felt it so far,
You haven't felt it so
right?
far.
Like I've never felt it so far.
Oh,
Like they
that's
are
interesting.
extremely productive. They're getting a lot of stuff done. Things are powering through, and it's good to know, right?
Yeah.
It's a good measure for me and the team, like
Yeah.
that. It's not as productive as you think. But having said that, these two members are very productive
Yeah.
team members too. So
Yeah.
if I was to weigh myself as a programmer against them, they would
Yeah.
be like 2x me, anyways, right? In
Right.
terms of productivity.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna say 2x to me, but doesn't 2x everybody else.
Right.
Right? That's basically what
But they're definitely keeping up and they're not like,
yeah, I'm
you,
I'm not falling behind is the better way to say it. Right? I'm able to keep up with them,
yeah.
but I'm still not ahead of them.
And they're not
So
working 14-hour days to get there.
nobody in the team works 40 minutes a
Got
day.
it. Got it.
AI does.
Yeah.
At least with me. Like, I do have AI always writing code now, even on the weekends when
You're starting like Ralph Wiggum loops and just letting it go? Or like, what do you mean?
so
You sitting in front of it saying like, yes, like, yes.
no, so weekends, my weekday working mode and weekend mode just slightly different. My weekend mode, so before I touch anything, right? Like the first thing, with Cursor, you can set up MCP servers, and that's a must. Like that's something I tell all team members, like whoever is going to experiment with Cursor, if you don't get your MCP servers in and you don't start like thinking in terms of MCP servers, you're going to spend a lot of time like going between tools, right? So you want to try and get all the information in one place. So I start with like plan mode in Cursor and say like, hey, go look at that story, right? And from Jira, come back and tell me, make a plan for me, right?
Hmm.
And I work with it on the plan to kind of tinker it to exactly what I wanted to do, right? And this is where I think that the strategy design part of it comes into play.
Mm.
One of the things I make it do for sure is break down what are you going to do in each PR,
Mm. Oh, okay.
right?
Interesting.
So I would say break this down into a PR, and each PR tell me what are we going to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? And please don't add a PR for tests, right? Like,
Oh
that's not
no.
happening, right?
Oh
Like,
no.
yeah, every PR has to go to production, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of I arrive at a plan, right? Once one more thing I've started doing offline, which is very interesting. I open another cursor window and I say like, hey, look up this plan and tell me, review it for me and tell me what's missing. And actually, it does a good job of
Yeah.
telling you like, hey, like here are some holes in your plan, right? And you fix all of those or answer all of those questions and get the plans to work
Hmm.
exactly the way you
Hmm.
want. The biggest reason I get this plan out of the way was I was talking to my brother-in-law who's also a programmer, and he was telling me like one of the things that, and obviously once you understand how LLMs work, it becomes quite obvious is you cannot let those context windows grow for too long,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to keep
Yeah.
killing those
Yeah.
context windows and
Yeah.
opening new ones. Um, so it helps there where you keep all everything that you need to build new state, new context is
Yep.
all stored in that one place, what has been happening, right? And you actively mark off things that it keeps doing, right? So once you've got a good plan going, I don't mind saying like, hey, do that PR while I'm, you know, uh, convincing Tara that I'm a good father, right? Like, so while I'm out doing that, like, I come back and, 4 hours later, and I review what it's done, tell it to do a few changes, and then it's good to go, right? However, we still want humans to approve PRs.
Right. Okay.
So it's not like I can get a lot of work done on the weekend and change production completely by the time I come, because
Yeah.
we will have another human.
You're just going to create a backlog of PRs that people have to wait for.
Exactly. So if I pick up a card on Friday, I know on Monday I'll be like more or less done with that card,
Got it.
because so I would basically create a branch, right?
Yeah.
Get some stuff done, branch off that branch,
Yeah.
get the second PR done, right? And so we go
Got it.
that way. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So you're sort of coming in and out, but it's not like it's cycling for like an hour and a half, while you're cooking dinner and
Yeah.
then you come back and okay, it's cycling for 15 or 20 minutes and maybe you leave it alone for an hour, but
Yeah, I don't bother looking at it.
yeah.
It never takes more than a.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
That's the thing. Like
I'm
it's
not
pretty
making it do
fast.
anything so sophisticated that it takes like,
Yeah.
even more 15, 20 minutes to do.
Yeah.
Right.
But while it forgets everything quickly, it doesn't as long as you haven't said anything, it doesn't forget.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's
Like,
still there
so.
waiting for you 3 hours later
Yeah,
as though you
exactly.
never left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I like that. I like how your weekend process is different than your workday process. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Workday, I'm more actively steering, right? Like I'm trying to move in smaller pieces, trying to get more of it done.
Yeah. I
But
like your smaller pieces too.
yeah, and
Are
I get more time to discuss design with the team. As with my
Yeah.
pair, I get to more time to review. Like our PR reviews happen much more aggressively now because we all have time to review and we aren't worried about.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's like you're reinvesting it in that team cohesive understanding and code
yeah,
base.
yeah,
Oh, that's nice. I like that a lot.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay. So you talked about architecture and planning a little bit. Anything else to say there about how it's different with the tools?
So one of the things that again, as a team, we are now more and more trying to look at each one of us ourselves, look at ourselves as customers, right?
Yep.
We're always thinking for the customers and as product people, right?
Mhm.
And so we're always thinking of the customer. We're thinking like product. We're trying to understand the pressures of the business, and we're also trying to understand the constraints of the business, right? So we are not absolutely isolating ourselves as the doers in this case,
Mm,
right? And frankly, like having some productivity gain from AI has helped us have longer conversations to be able
mm,
to, discuss our ideas more, um, even understand more deeply, like why we cannot do something, or why our interest rate is 12%. Why can't we bring that down to 6%? Right?
wow,
Where are the
wow.
constraints? Or
Yep.
even hypothesizing on like, okay, how would we be able to bring this down to 6%?
Wow.
Is if we can create a retail market on the other side that can actually buy these loans and things like that, right? We do have time to talk and discuss these things,
Wow.
which allows us to constantly be visioning,
Yep.
to a point where like today, if I, you know, at some point we want to bring in a product person, and every time I bring this conversation up with the team, I'm like, why do we need a product person
Right.
again? Right? Why do we need it again? Can you repeat?
Right, right,
Can you
right.
repeat why? Like, the
That's
team is
interesting.
more and more feeling like we don't need a product person, right? Which is an interesting experiment. I mean, we might go down that path, might not go down that path, right? There are still a lot of critical product functions only Nick is doing,
Yeah.
um, and which he happens
Nick
to
is
be
the
the
CEO?
CTO.
CTO, got it.
So him and Jamie are doing some of the like co-product thinking there.
Yep.
And to be fair, like they are today, bringing in a product person would be a nightmare, given like they're not in all of those meetings where they're getting all of that feedback and
Right.
going through sitting in all of those meetings with the lawyers and finding out all the regulatory constraints.
Yeah.
For a product person, it'll be absolutely horrible right now if they were always on the getting to that news late, right?
Yeah.
Um, so, but at least I can say like the primary reason people wrongly hire product people for is like, I need somebody to manage the requirements for the team. Like I would need
Right.
somebody to handle the documenting and discussing the why we are doing something with the team
Right.
consistently,
Right.
right? That pain is definitely not there. Like if we get a product person, it'll be like a true strategist, oh, somebody who will spend more time talking to customers, somebody
Yeah.
who will spend more time
Yeah.
doing research, right? Like
Right.
somebody who'll come back and
Exterior
yeah,
facing,
yeah, and think
market
about like
facing.
like something that none of us have the time to think about,
Yeah.
right? And say like, hey, maybe
Wow.
like here's a new way we can do this. That's definitely the role we'll look for in a product person.
It seems like there's a kind of virtuous cycle around smallness. Like because you're using the tools, you don't have to grow the engineering team. Because you don't have to grow the engineering team, then the team can stay deeply involved
Yes.
with like level decisions and
Yeah.
discussions.
Yeah.
But like on some level, if like the team did grow to 50, like we did in the old days,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no way you wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to anymore.
No, no, that is 100% like one of the strongest motivations for us to keep the team small
Huh.
is like when, like for example, like when Jamie's in town. Jamie's not in Toronto right now, but when he's in town with our CEO, we go for a team lunch every week, and there's nothing that's not discussed, right?
It's amazing.
Everything from like what are our investor pressures to what are capital markets partners saying, or
Yeah.
like what is happening with the legal, or any of those discussions are
I
always.
wonder if this is the future for startups, right? Instead of like growing these 400 person engineering teams and
Oh,
1,500 person companies, like this is what it looks like now.
I think it's the future for tech driven companies is my
Yeah.
opinion. Like uh, team like 400 people teams is doesn't let's leave
Obviously
out
not a
the
single team. That's obviously many, many, many
no,
teams.
let's leave out the
But still,
fans, right? Like their scale is different, right? But if anybody's got a couple of products in market, one or two products in the market, and trying to scale those, or any like your customer right now, right? Like they are definitely um going to be more successful if they work with a with a smaller team that
yeah,
actually is more deeply involved with the business, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then trying to scale out like to
Oh, that's
300
interesting.
devs and try and be manning all of those 300 devs to try and get stuff done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We keep getting into like the like interesting economic ramifications
Yeah.
and I keep missing sort of all the nuts and bolts. So let me go through I'll start rapid firing through a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about software development.
Yeah.
What about like testing, integration?
Yeah, I'll say across the board. I'll say for all team members, whether they're using AI or don't not using AI, the biggest time kill is testing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've done significant things to. Uh, it's a financial application. You have to do ID verification.
Yeah.
You have to do wallet to wallet payments. You have to have
Know your customer,
exactly. We have a whole bunch of integrations that have to
AML.
work, right?
Yep.
And so there is that that lack of confidence of saying like, hey, let me verify this properly once at least, and that's the biggest time killer,
Yep.
which is why we are now investing in E2B end-to-end automation.
Hmm.
If I told you like, hey, we just launched a product, I'm starting to build my end-to-end test, in any other world you'd say,
Like,
you got too much money, or you're
yeah.
like, what's your problem,
Yeah.
right? Like, do you want to keep fixing those slow tests again and again for
Yep.
the rest of your life? Like,
Yep.
no, that's generally where you go, but it's become more urgent for us,
Yep.
right? Because we realize that's the biggest time kill for us,
Hmm.
right? And so if we start early enough, when as soon as we have a working product, we basically automate and start constantly building that suite, right? So it's not too early, is that we have to keep changing the suite as frequently as it's in the front end,
Hmm.
right? But it's early enough where now we can confidently change things without having to
Yeah. Yeah.
worry,
Well, right.
right?
That confidence that it brings you is
Yeah, yeah,
that's the payoff.
yeah. So end-to-end test is something we're investing early.
Got it.
We're going to be definitely looking for better ways to run code reviews.
Yeah.
So when one of us is getting into approving somebody else's PR, we are not necessarily too worried about like big compromises. We are more. It's more about I need to read this code to understand if I have to fix this,
Yeah.
right? Like, so that's kind of the, for example, if we are pairing, the one of the pairs can approve
Yep.
on
Yep.
behalf of the other pair.
Yep.
Like we don't say like, hey, if you both are pairing, you still need to get a third person.
Yep.
If you both are pairing, you review it to this PR,
Yep.
right? And so that also allows for people to break up their card into multiple threads and do separate PRs, right? And
Okay.
then bring them together, review each other's, and get ownership on that code
Yeah.
base. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it seems like for integration, I mean, like pairing does also give you some in the way you've been able to keep the code knowledge cohesive. It sounds like that's right. One of the things that I sometimes use it for is like, can you go look at this and figure out if like I want all of us, I've got the same logic in two different places, right? So how
Yeah.
can I stop doing that? How can I get
Yeah.
this into a shared library? And then how do I like integrate that shared library back so that everybody can use it?
Oh, no, 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 no. That I was corrupted long ago with the whole microservices. Don't worry about shared code.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Manage
I'm
duplication.
already spoiled that way, right? Oh, copy code, that's fine, right? Don't try to share code and make them tightly coupled, right?
Yeah.
Like so, um,
But then the integration challenges of all those microservices, right? Like, so
yeah,
you talked about CI, right? And you've got AI running in the CI
yeah,
pipeline,
yeah,
and it's part of your reviews and all this.
yeah.
But when you think about the actual like thought about integration, like integration itself,
Uh,
so
uh,
it's
uh,
not so much these two microservices running in the same deployable. I guess that's not really like, or maybe, but to your point, it's more about how they all work together. Then, like, it's the domain design about how they
for
all
sure,
do
for
what they're
sure,
doing.
for sure. And to be like very clear, like you don't have the I'm okay. Time to say something controversial, right? I'm not a believer in saying like a microservice is one that can be taken to production independently.
Mm.
I do not believe
Mm.
that, oh, if I build out a microservice, it can go to production on its own. You can do that if you have a lot of money to waste. Okay. If you have a lot of money to waste,
There's my
then
son.
right, then you can go like, oh, I want to do service versioning, and I want to have like make sure that people have the time to switch between old
Right.
services and new service versions.
Right.
It's never practical,
Contract
right? It's
tests
just
and all this
stupid to
other
have
stuff.
multiple service versions
Yep.
in production, right? So you don't go to production if you don't integrate early and you
Okay.
verify everything is working together.
So you're
Right.
sort of deploying all at once.
No, we don't deploy all at once.
Okay.
So I'm going to say target state because obviously we are getting there, right? But target state is basically, and this is something I did. I was part of the implementation at Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae does this right
Mm-hmm.
now, right? Is you have independent microservices. They can basically be chained on their own, right? They have a CI pipeline that does basic verification. You run your unit test, you can run your SAST, you can run all of those things. Your container scans everything, right? And then you have a container that's now ready to go,
Yep.
right? As soon as you have a container ready to go, you basically go and update the product manifest. You basically say now, hey, my product baseline has changed, right? Now my
Mm-hmm.
product baseline has new component.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure that this baseline is available now in this environment, and I'm going to poke on whole bunch of tests. I'm going to do end-to-end tests. I'm going to do performance tests. So in Fannie Mae, if any single container changes, only that container gets deployed to the CI/CD environment.
Right.
They run JMeter tests. They actually do active passive deploys. They deploy to their passive region.
Right.
They
Okay.
run smoke tests against that.
Oh,
Then
cool.
exactly like production, and then they switch it to active.
Right.
They verify the whole thing end to end. They run performance tests,
Yep.
and only when all of that is good, they've even produced evidence
Yep.
that is sufficient for them to like they take to production. Right,
Got
is
it.
when you get past that stage, and now you have a new baseline that you're going to take to production.
Yep.
Right, that's kind of where our mindset is. We want to basically look at, hey, the product is a product. You can have 50 microservices, you can have 1,000 microservices, you can have one container, one single monolith. It is still the same product,
Right.
right? And every time you change a part of it, you change the baseline to the product.
Right.
And that's what you need to verify early, as quickly as possible.
Right. So there's sort of a different suite that's running inside of each CI pipeline for each container.
That's just to make save the time of
Basic
not,
checks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You want to do enough.
Your unit test suite and so
Yeah, you don't want to go out there and deploy and then figure out something is broken because that is more expensive part of the CI pipeline
got
or
it.
this. Yeah, right.
Got it. But sort of bigger integrations in between different parts, those kinds of contract tests,
Yeah.
those all happen sort of in this phase two.
Yes.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. One of the things that at least we are trying to do is like basically shift all the pain left.
Yep.
Right. There are people who say like, why are you doing PR? Why not doing trunk based? Right. And quite often, uh, the same people who say we do trunk based also don't do continuous delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you have a lot everything coming to trunk, but then you pull all of them together, put them in like a staging server, and once a week from staging you promote to production,
Hmm.
right? Because it's not practical for you to do trunk based if you don't do all the verifications to make sure you don't take production.
Yeah.
The only way, if you're doing trunk based and doing continuous delivery, is you're building something non-trivial,
Yeah.
right? Like it cannot be something that's serious. And like otherwise, if there were 50 comments coming into trunk every day,
Yeah.
and you were running a serious pipeline that verified all ends of your product, you'd never get that
Yeah.
commit go to production. In like the pipeline will be, oh, I've committed a trunk. It's going to take like 7 days before it gets into production,
Yeah.
right? Like, right? There's no way you can pile up so many commits together and then have them all go through the same level of verification, right?
I'm trying to think of the last time I was on a team that actually kind of did what you're saying is not possible. So I think it was 2012,
Yeah,
right? And it was a Java code base, and
yeah,
it was a pretty big one. It was a
yeah,
pretty important one. But to your point, like, yes, it was proper TBD, right? This
yeah,
was like, 7 ThoughtWorks pairs,
yeah,
on one team. It was
yeah,
way too big. We had to split it up soon after that.
yeah,
But yeah, like fully trunk, like no
yeah,
PRs, none of that stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Were we even on Subversion? Like we might have been on no,
yeah,
no, no, we would have been gone
yeah,
GitHub by then. No, it was GitHub. Fine.
yeah,
But point being, fully trunk based. But there was a release branch.
yeah.
So to your point, like there was this
You're
like,
cheating somewhere, right? Like
yeah.
you're just basically, if
I
you
mean, you could say it was CD off the release branch, but
yeah, right,
I hear
yeah,
you. It
yeah.
was not it was not a continuous
That's the
deployment
Git flow.
or even a continuous delivery
Yeah,
chunk. It
yeah,
was a continuous
yeah,
delivery of this release branch,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and there was always a different one.
For us, it's like put all the constraints
Yeah.
before it gets to trunk,
Yeah.
right? Like as quickly give the person, the pair working on this idea,
Yeah.
feedback as quickly as possible that this is never going to go to production,
Yeah.
right? Until you get through all of these gates, you can verify all of the stuff. You are confident that this goes. That's why that like the four eyes policy, right? The happens at the PR level,
Hmm.
because after that it's go to production,
Right. Got it.
right?
Got it.
We don't care. Like once it comes to trunk, then
Ship it.
that should be another human who has to go and approve anything. It
Yep.
goes to production, right?
Okay.
The entire pipeline is
Move
is
the pain
is
left.
is is
Yeah.
is shifted left.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So what about AI impacts on like infrastructure, observability? Are you doing anything interesting there?
So I mean, other than generating code with so yes, we are now. So one of the things that when I talked about MCP is like Datadog has an MCP server
Oh yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
we use Datadog for our monitoring.
Oh right. You guys got big funding. That's right.
Sorry.
When I think of Datadog, I think of dollar signs.
Oh, no, no, no. Datadog is free. They actually gave 1 year free for startups.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be honest, like Datadog sticker price is not too bad if I use Datadog in receptivity too, and we didn't have any money then, right? Like so
Mm, okay.
yeah, it is actually if you want to be compliant, you need certain level of
Yeah.
controls.
Yep.
And in my opinion, like your observability stack is not the place to compromise.
Yeah. 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 We use it in my day job today, and I
Yeah.
like it a lot. So,
Yeah.
so
I know why you use it in your GitHub today.
you might have been the one who decided.
I was a heavy influence. Sure, I can guarantee you that.
Sharan Karanth!
But it is. In my opinion, for at least for all of my needs right now, all our team's needs, it is pretty comprehensive. It
Yeah.
gives
Yeah.
visibility into what we're doing.
Yeah.
Although I've not yet leveraged Datadog's AI capabilities,
Right.
I've actually used Cursor's ability to
Talk to
pick an issue
Datadog.
from Datadog
Yeah.
and then figure out what's happening in the code base,
Oh, that's cool.
right? And
Okay.
so that's definitely a big time saver.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Like Svelte does a lot. Like we use Svelte for our UI, right? And so a lot of that gets compiled, and then there is like a final compiled version that gets shipped, right? And so the stack, when you see the stack trace for what's on the JavaScript side, it looks very different from being like readable. You take that stack trace, you dump it into Cursor, or I'm sure other AI tools can do it as well. It actually kind of breaks down how the compilation would have taken place
Hmm.
and says, okay, this stack trace is coming from this file. But there's nothing in the stack trace that I would obviously figure out like it's coming from here. It'd be like ID cannot be null, right? Like ID cannot be
Oh.
null is like so hard to break down where this is happening.
Hmm.
But
Right.
it was basically to kind of it was able to break down where this based on how compilation happened, which file was this likely to be?
Oh, wow.
And it said, oh, it's in your layout, right? It's in your layout. You're getting this ID cannot be null, and we were able to get down to the issue and solve it, kind of thing.
Wow.
So it is very good at time saving. So like even
Yeah.
to give you an idea of
Debugging. It's incredibly good at debugging stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So like to give you an idea, like one of the things that I followed from my time in ThoughtWorks. One of the key projects the project I learned the most on was when we did some work for train lines, which is pretty much all of UK's train ticketing
Yeah.
happens on train lines.
Yep.
And I remember going into that project and I was like, okay, so what do you guys use for monitoring your production? And they said we use Microsoft. I think it was called MOM, Microsoft Operations
Oh,
Management or
God.
something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. I'd forgotten about that.
Right. So we get MOM alerts and that tells us everything that's going on. And I said, okay, go ahead, show me where their MOM alert is. Right? And the architect I was working with was laughing because he also handles production. He's, you don't want to go look there. And I saw like there were thousands and thousands of errors, right?
Mhm.
And there were experts who knew how to see which one was an error and which one was not an error, right? Right. So I basically told, like, when we are replacing the system, the one thing we're going to watch out for is every error has to be fixed. There will not be a single error in our log,
Right.
right, that does not get our attention,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Oh,
And
don't worry about that one. We see that 1,000
yeah,
times.
1,000 times, right? Like, no, that has to stop,
Fix
right?
it.
So when I started receptivity, for me, it was like I was the only engineer building all of this. I had
Right.
to like monitor production and build new software and sleep, right? Like I had to and be a father and
Yeah.
and be a husband.
Yeah.
So the whole setup was pretty complicated at that point, right? Um, and then when we slowly grew the team, we had to pivot to a completely different product while keeping the old product alive.
Hmm.
But that's remained so much on my observability for at that point that
Yeah.
I basically told the team, you don't even need to look at the old product,
Hmm.
right? I will be the sole person maintaining that in production,
Hmm.
right? None of you have to worry about it. Just focus on the new product. Let's get it done. And I set it up, and because of we constantly being on top of the observability stack, the muscle memory was like, if the production doesn't call you, everything is fine.
Wow. Okay.
That's the,
Wow.
that's the that's the simple rule. Like production doesn't call you, everything is fine.
Hmm.
And there'll be like 6 months production has can't call me, right? Is this service still running? Like, sometimes you're like, you don't trust it, right? Did something fall there? And then you have to go in and they actually see that it's running and I can see the log and I'm like, okay, so it's still running, right? Like and people were using it. They were
So this
paying
seems
customers.
very SRE. This seems very like system
Yes.
reliability engineering.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
all of these terms came later. That was just
Sure.
common sense, right?
Sure.
Like end of the day, like you don't want signal like observability and system calling you when something went wrong has been there for a long time, right?
Yeah.
You know about it. Like
Yeah. 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 Yep.
what was the Unix one that
Well,
Linux
we were doing Nagios and
Nagios, right? Nagios was the PagerDuty of the past,
yeah.
right? So yeah.
And then you would connect your Nagios to PagerDuty.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And so you always did it.
Yeah.
Like if you are running mission critical
Yeah.
systems, you always stayed on top
Yeah.
of every single error that happened, right?
MRTG and all of these things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So got it. So on some level, it hasn't changed all that much. It's not like you've got like LLMs in the sky trying to decide if this is an important stack trace. It's more about the discipline of not letting the stack traces getting in the airline in the first place.
Yes, but having said that, the area we would like to invest in. So right now, as I said, we are a team that does everything, right? And that includes product and support.
Mm-hmm.
And
Build it, run it.
our product has been launched, will be launched by end of this month in 120 countries.
Congratulations.
Right. And it's gonna be a 24/7 product, right?
Okay.
We're not like closed on weekends, right? We're gonna be 24/7 in 120 countries,
Holy cow.
right? So I don't believe like it's practical for the team to be able to be available on production support
Right.
for that long,
Right.
right? Even though we're rotating to production support
But 24/7. Yeah.
24/7, 7 days a week,
Yeah.
every, let's say you're rotating through every 4 weeks is a lot,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I don't think like that's sustainable for
Right.
long. And that's where we want to invest, where we have AI also do the self-healing side of things, right?
Ah,
Like
interesting.
not only kind of designed for self-healing, but also wherever human intervention is needed for self-healing, we want to be able to start. getting an AI involved and
Hmm.
trained in doing self-healing. So we have had some discussions on that internally.
I had one the other day where I keep failing to like go to Kubernetes and all these things. So I just have like Docker commands, which just start with that. There's a command line which is like restart unless stopped.
Yeah.
So I'm just using that to like keep things running. But then the EC2 container died. I'm like, it can't do that. So I go into Claude and I'm starting to think like, oh, maybe it'll be an LLM that will read the alert and
Uh,
decide. And then we pretty quickly realize like, no, like if you get this signal, you just need to restart that EC2 instance. That's
That's
it.
it. Yeah, half the time
There's
that's
no
that's
LLM.
the solution, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't even need a man in the middle,
Yeah.
but the inertia to go and put the self-healing in is so high
Right. Right.
that
Right.
you don't actually think about the self-healing part of it, right?
The team
So
on my day job, they could use this kind of stuff, and they are the
uh,
team that's allowed to. So that'll be
yeah,
interesting. They have a lot of self healing stuff going on right
yeah,
now in
yeah,
terms of like, okay, we can see this queue of
totally.
processed records building
Yeah.
up. Like, what's next?
Yeah, yeah, no. If you're in an industry where, like,
Yeah,
any outage is big problem,
yeah,
like
yeah,
self healing is definitely something you
yeah,
want first.
yeah,
Expecting humans to be able to respond,
yeah,
understand what's going on, and fix it quickly
yeah,
is
yeah.
just unrealistic as you get to AI speed.
Super interesting. What is something you've had to change your mind on? What was something that you thought was one way, but you realized, nope, it's something different?
So, what I've always done in my career is like, hey, here's a shiny new technology that's come up. Like everybody's talking about it, and I like, okay, let me ignore this for now, right?
Hmm.
And my intention of ignoring this is new technology that comes up goes through so many evolutions that the first few evolutions
Hmm.
are absolutely going to be bad. Like that's going to be the worst version of that evolution, right? And at some point, yes, like and part of my attitude is why, like I have not significantly contributed to like massive like open source
Hmm.
game changers, right? In that technology spec, because I'm generally a skeptic in the sense that like, hey, let me see how this is going to be helping somebody make money first,
Yeah.
right? And how we can solve problems that can either impact top line and bottom line. I'm not going to play with it because it's a shiny toy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'll read about it enough to not sound like not be completely bamboozled by it when you hear
Yeah.
about it. But I'm not going to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty until it's time to work with it,
So is this
right?
the old point of view or is this the new point of view?
That's still me. To a
Yeah.
large extent, that is still
Okay.
me. Right? It's a lot easier now with being able to research, but I would still say like I don't run towards
Well,
shiny
you did
objects.
mention there's Rails in your pipipeline. So
There's rails in my pipeline. That wasn't my choice, but
you were telling me about Rails in 2012 when I met you. You were like, no, you should use Rails for that.
no, I've definitely got a lot softer on those kind of things, right? Like now it's I'm all about polyglot and productivity, and do
Cool.
what it takes to get things done. Having said that, yeah, I have my eyes on replacing Rails too.
Mm.
So,
It's,
but it gives us a lot of productivity right
sure.
now, which is
Yeah.
why we have
Yeah.
still got Rails in our
I'm not
pipeline.
knocking it, but
Yeah,
to your point, like I can tell that you're still not getting distracted by the shiny object. Yeah.
yeah, we try to avoid getting distracted by. I try to avoid getting distracted by the shiny
Yeah.
object personally, right?
Yep.
Like OpenClaw, for example. Like
Yeah.
it's
I'm
like people are like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, OpenClaw, take my credit card, take like all my personal documents, and go ahead and then create another version of me, right? And
yeah. No,
I'm not
I'm
even
with you on
installing
that.
it till like
What advertisement I heard the other day is like, it's a prepaid debit card. It's safe to give to your open cloth. I'm like, no. Now it can only spend $1,000 at the end of the week
yeah,
while it pretends to be you. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Next question.
yeah.
Something you're most proud of.
Something I'm most proud of. I mean, I, I'm gonna say like obviously, my family, like
I was thinking you better say Todd.
yeah, and Akshata, right? And I'm very
Of
proud of
course.
both of them.
Yeah.
They've definitely been the best thing that have happened to me. Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Aw.
But work-wise, I would say like I think by far the most. I'm very proud of that team that we built in receptivity.
Mm,
It was from scratch with like no knowledge of how to build a company,
yeah.
so it was definitely like a wonderful experience for me.
Mm,
Um, and from pure technology, train lines I think was
yeah.
definitely the most mission critical piece that
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like, the first piece of work I did was Sriram Narayan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so me and Sriram Narayan were just two of us replacing their payment gateway,
Wow.
right? And so we were like sitting there
Wow.
writing the code. We built out a payment gateway and we put it in production. And at that point, we had no idea that the entire of UK can go down if this payment gateway goes down,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of people will not be getting to work
Right.
because because Sharon, forgot to test the one of the conditions in the if statement, right? Like
Amazing.
it's
Yeah.
and then
No, I still use Trainline when I'm booking tickets when I'm in the UK.
yeah, yeah,
It's the
yeah,
easiest thing. It's got
yeah,
them all. Yeah.
yeah. No, and not that. If you use any other vendor's ticket, like if you use
Oh, okay.
Virgin Rails, that is
They're
still
all
train lines.
powered by Trainline.
They're all train lines. Yeah, so it's 95% of my opinion, like of every single train ticket that's booked, right? And then that didn't die on us, right? And so that payment gateway survived, and so that kind of gave them the confidence to say, okay, these guys will not send us to jail, right? Like, so can we give them the next piece, which is a little harder, which is to replace their entire purchasing and fulfillment pipeline,
Yeah.
right? This is where you can do whatever you want about saying, I want to go from here to here, or you pick the cheapest ticket, but when you hit pay, right from the point where the credit card gets paid and we actually go and even get them their tickets, that whole thing they wanted to replace,
Right.
right? And yeah, like after we went live, the first production issue we found was actually um, was a ticket denied to the architect on the rival camp who did not want this replacement to happen, right? Who was handling the legacy system. And he
Oh,
was like, this wonderful new system you put in place did not get me a ticket out of the kiosk today. And this was like kiosk printing, printed papers,
wow.
emails,
Wow.
mobile ticketing, all of it, right? Like they had machines that would print the actual thing and
Yeah.
make it ready for you
Yeah.
to kind of wrap and
That's crazy.
post to people.
Yep.
So
Okay. Wait, is this the same Sharan Narayan that wrote Agile IT Organizations?
that's
Wow.
really it was a pleasure to work with him. And he's still a friend. We still stay in touch, but
Amazing.
it's the one thing we definitely did was have a lot of conversations that were not related to technology, right? So
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing. Okay. What is something that's giving you joy right now?
I mean, other than family again, I'm gonna say like for me right now, the part I enjoy the most is that I'm happy to be back on a mission.
Mm,
As much as I enjoyed consulting, it was a very um, I'm going to say mercenary
yeah.
type role,
Hmm.
right? Like you want to get involved with your customers' problems, but
Right.
the customers only want to get involved so much because you're
Yeah.
not an employee,
Yeah.
right? And so you feel very disconnected
Hmm.
with the outcomes.
Yeah.
And so joining a startup early, doing the necessary sacrifices to get there, so you're only motivated by the valuation of the business is definitely something I wake up to every day and look forward to
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah,
Sharon, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much.
thank you.
They're small, highly maneuverable, and in some respects they think for themselves.
Robots.
Exactly.